International to the third session of Water Impact 2021. This week we have a completely technical based session, and we are looking forward to more interaction with all the crowd. The previous 2 weeks we had talks on basically on policy, on strategy and projects. This week we have 4 distinguished speakers, starting with our upcoming speaker who will be speaking about the master planning. We will then be speaking about wastewater treatment. And on Thursday, we will be speaking about non-revenue water and agricultural water. These 4 critical issues are going to be managed this week, and we look forward to all your participation. Our first guest is my friend Niv Pintow from Livnath Engineering. Niv has been working in India for the past couple of years. In fact, strangely, both our speakers today are expats who are working in India for the past couple of years. We are especially grateful to Niv to be here today, as he informs me that he has tested COVID positive, and we wish him the best, of course, and really appreciate that you are being here, Niv. Please go ahead, Niv.
Thank you very much, Romiel. Lovely to be here. Yes, I was diagnosed positive in COVID-19, but for now I'm okay. So like Romiel said, for the past 4 years, I've been living in India, dealing with the National Water Master Plan for the Israel National Water Company, Mekorot. We've done a project, a big project in Marathwada, and now we are doing a big project in Punjab. And in our main talk, this short presentation, I will talk mainly about what is a master plan, the foundation of master planning, what is it for, what disciplines are needed, and the Israeli perspectives, and the extra parts that combining with the master plan achieve right water management economy in the state level. So the first question before I start my presentation, I have a very small poll regarding the importance of aspects that you people thinks are needed for the Indian water sector. I can also. So is it technology, management, planning, or money? This is interesting to see what is the crowd thought about. If I can have next slide, please.
So
okay.
Just give me like 5 more seconds. I'll end the poll and then I'll share the results quickly with you.
So 5 seconds, it's okay.
Yeah.
5 seconds,
so I'm ending the poll now, and I'm sharing the results as well. So here are the results for the poll.
Management. Management and planning. This is funny because, see, I think any questions you ask, no matter what, if you put management, I think people usually go to management, because management it's always correct. There's always better management. I'll argue that it's true. Management is important, and important in any process. Planning is what's more needed, and I'm not talking about detailed, as you will see, in a more general, or where do we want to go? And if there's only one thing, you're going to get from this presentation, it should be this section from Alice Adventures in Wonderland. Alice is in the forest. She doesn't know where to go. She looks for the Cheshire cat, ask him where to go. He asks her, where do you want to go? She said she doesn't know. And then he tells her, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And this is exactly what master planning is all about. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. You can have the best management, you can invest all the money, you can have the best technology with you, but if you don't know where you want to, what you want to achieve and how to get there, it will be almost impossible, even if you have the best managers, to get there. And this is the basic idea why we need a master plan that looks for the needs for today, the needs 30 years from now, and constructs a plan to achieve in our case, in the water sector, achieve a sustainable water economy for the state, for a large region, and how to get there in a very, not necessarily simple, but in development steps for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And I just want to say for all the students that if they are listening to us, this is master planning is not only an engineering tool if everything in your life. So basically, if you're studying, if you're having a degree, or if you want to achieve anything, this whole issue of what you want to achieve in the future, you need a master planning. You need to have some sort of set of goals in the future, and then break them down and see how you can achieve that. And this is what we're talking about in master plan. As per the definition, we basically looking to meet demand and available water, demand and supply, as you can see. So you analyze how much water is needed per location, in what quality also, because every sector have a different needs as per the quality, and what are the available water you are having, if it's treated water, if it's rain, if it's groundwater, surface water. And this is how and then you combine them, and there are many tools to do it, and looking into the socio-economical aspect of it, and try to find alternatives and solutions, how to get the best cost-effective solution to this, to get to the sustainable economy. Next, please. Again, and I will repeat the sentence that if you don't know where you're going to, any road will get you there, because this is crucial, and this is exactly the sort of question that master planning are trying to answer. They're trying to answer what is exactly the problem. It sounds simple, but it's usually very complicated. Many of the times, when you start with a water-related issue, you usually go to the supply side of the equation, and not into the demand side of the equation, or the efficiency of the demand side. And analyzing exactly what is the problem in the water sector is crucial to understand, because sometimes the issues like education and demand management are the most cost-effective for any large-scale water-related problem. with relation to build another huge dam or another huge water treatment facility, for example. Best way to solve it is again, if you start with the right definition of the problem, the solution generally is easier. And when to do it is also crucial. So basically, one of the aims of the master plan is to present a decadal water balance in order to present what is exactly the timetable in order for you to invest and to create certain facilities in order to reach the goal of usually good quality, sustainable water economy. And instead of, so the master plan gives you some sort of a roadmap where you can design a budgetary plan over time to achieve these goals instead of just investing all in the beginning. Next one, please. And this is the basic definition. So basically, the aim of a national scale water master plan is to present a comprehensive plan covering all types of water resources and demand categories. When a demand categories, usually it talks about the domestic, agricultural, livestock, industrial sectors in the economy, with relation to availability of water in order to help achieve sustainable long-term water balance and minimize any water shortages crises for current states and long-term period up to 2050. Next, please. Okay, so the three major components of master planning is data analysis, alternative, and development. Data analysis, in terms of it's crucial, and I assume everyone that working in the engineering sector can relate to that. Without proper data, it's very hard to achieve a productive plan. One of the main problems, if we're talking about our experience in India, is that the quality of the data is not always good enough. But you have tools today to get some assumptions in order to develop such a plan, because you don't have a choice. If you wait for the perfect data, you will lose a lot of time. So you have to get some sort of assumptions in order to build your plan upon. After you analyze the problem, basically, after you analyze the demand, supply, all the related factors that influence the water sector in the area, you start thinking about alternatives to solve it. To get the alternatives, finding the best cost-effective one that achieve the goals that you put in front of you when you started the project, and then you start forcing them into development stages. So what to build, in what year, in order to achieve a sustainable water economy. Please, next one. And this is the foundation of a master plan, as per what we're doing today in Punjab. There are different master plans. Some, for example, don't ask to go inside the organizational structure of the government or into policy decision-making processes. In Punjab, what we try to do is starting, as you can see, from the data, from the measurement and data setup, and then climbing to the policy regulations, central water management aspects, alternative that achieve sustainable water resource management, and only then, only after dealing with all the process of the management of the government with relation to the water sector, we go into the cost-effective solutions of exactly how to get to the sustainable water resource management. Next one. And these are the disciplines that required in water-related master plan. So usually you have a hydrologist in the team. You have a team leader. You have the water quality guy. You have someone to deal with the regulations and economical aspects, because whatever you do in a water master planning, you affect the economy. Obviously, if it is in agricultural main sector, it obviously will be affected if you start using water tariffing and you start getting more into the supply regimes of water to the agricultural sector or industrial sector. So your aspects regarding regulation and economical are very, very, very important. Climate change, we usually have a person that doing the climate change models to see the effect of the available water over time in the future, 20, 30 years from now. Water engineering and water resource management, and obviously with relation to the client needs and problem of the region, you have different, and you can add more or less disciplines. Next one, please. And this is the location of the master plan in terms of the different planning, shall we say, different plannings you have in the water sector. So if you start with the, always have to start with data. Master plan should be the first step up. Master plan should be the first step up. Look at the, if we're talking about a state level or country level, looking at the data from very high up and starting to figure out trends and relationship between demand, supply, canal system. Only after you understand and you work on the master plan and you understand the in and outs of the system, and you have 20, 30 years plan of how to achieve a sustainable water economy, and with relation to not only quantities but also qualities of water, and this plan has been revised and has been okayed by the government, then you break it to general planning. So you take different areas in the state, for example, and you start getting a little bit deeper with relation to the exact location of the STPs and the reservoirs or pumping station or whatever it is that you decide the master plan. You start going deeper into the cost and effectiveness in the general planning. Then the DPRs, and then the execution. Using this kind of level ensures you that you can understand why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, what the main question the master plan gives you is when you ask why do we need this reservoir, or this huge engineering facility to supply water, and why do we supply only for this village and not for this village? The master plan gives you exactly this kind of answers. It shows you how every sector and taluka level, block level, district level receive water from where, and what is the best economical alternative for this area to receive water with quality and related quantities. Next, please. But master planning is not the only step in the process, and it's not the only it's not the solution. In a way, it's the planning. Apart from the planning process itself and the regulation and how to reach from A to B, also other steps are required to change the mindset of the nation. It's not only the reports and the laws. It's, as you can see here from this, if the center is the master planning, the second stage is education program and training. It's very important that when you set up the goals and you have kind of a master plan showing how to get there, you should invest time and money in education and training of the related government personnel and the whole state to start changing their mindsets into a better water economy management to achieve the desired plan, to achieve the desired goal. Along with that education and training, the technologies that related to water treatment, water loss, energy savings, you will hear a lot about this technology during this wheel, are crucial also to implement and to achieve the goal that are desired. But it's very important to understand that not by any cost, meaning that, for example, not all polluted water need to be treated. Not basically, and this is very important to understand. When you do water balancing and you do water accounting, you understand each sector, what is the quantities and qualities of water that this area is needed. You find out that some of the water, and usually large quantities, if we're talking about agricultural sector, are okay to receive water with a low grade quality of water in order to keep the agricultural sector economic. So you don't use you don't use the technologies just to treat all the water and to get the highest grade water as possible. You basically get the technology to meet the goal, the quality and quantity water related goals for every sector. Next one. And so this is in a way a comprehensive solution that I was talking about. Starting with master planning, you move to technology, solutions, education and training. When you talk about you start talking about the wastewater treatment, aquifer recharge, all the operation, maintenance solution, and then you go deeper into water loss prevention, energy savings, SCADA, and everything in order to achieve higher control and management of the sector in order to get to the desired outcome of your plan. Next one, please. With relation to Israel, again, I will the purpose of this presentation is not about Israel, so it's a very concise, because my experience is mainly come from Israel. Our main approach in Israel, with different to India, is a centrally managed national supply system. So and this is very crucial aspect with relation to the rest of the world, because if the government is supposed to ensure a sustainable water economy in states in India and all over the world, she have to have the tools to control this resource and to control it in a sustainable way, in a just way, between all the sectors in the state. Farmers should be treated with the same kind of just as the industry and the domestic sector. Obviously, in order to ensure they have economical output, but this should be controlled and managed by one entity in the government that should answer to the government, and this is a central management water authority. We have in Israel, which is very efficient in that aspect, that she's can answer any water-related issue in the state. And the main problem that I think many of the stuff that we face is that most of the world and a lot of places in India, the water are managed by locally personals, and just people can take and use as much as they want, usually from tube wells, from the groundwater, without any kind of control over it. Next one, please. I see. I think I'm okay with time. I'll be okay. And this is again with relation to Israel. Our efforts, where we put in regulation and economical framework with relation to the water sector, was crucial to manage for us to achieve a sustainable water economy, and using water tariffing to control the water sector, different sectors demand, if it's the agricultural, industrial, and domestic. Next one, please. One of the most important parts that the master plan should answer is, especially nowadays where we have a short of water economy, is use different water qualities that you have in the state and integrate them together. Supplying them for industrial, agriculture, and domestic as per the needs and as per their requirements. We talked about it before, but this is crucial to achieve not only sustainable water economy, but also in a cost which is reasonable. Next one, please. And this is my final slide, basically. And this is what is important for me to basically finalize it with is that one, like I said in the beginning, if you don't know where you're going, every road will get you there, and this is crucial. If you want to take something from this, you have to have a master plan. If you want to know how to get out of water-related national scale problem, best cost-effective solutions to national scale problem must come from a national master plan. And that's it. If you have time for a question, please.
Thank you so much, Niv. That was really interesting, and it got us to this concept that we require a national plan for water. So we have a couple of questions. I'll quickly take them through. We have about 10 minutes.
Good question. See, I think it's crucial for India and a state level, and I'll explain why. Obviously, when you talk about India as a whole, master plan should be on a basin level, not necessarily state level, but taking the main rivers, obviously the Himalaya, the water coming from the Himalaya, because see, if you read some of the climate reports that are out there now, there is a very alarming picture of the available water from the Himalaya, which can create huge problem between China and India in the next 70 to 100 years. And this is crucial to tackle now and not to wait until people are starting to get very, I'll say that it can, obviously it can get quite aggressive water issues. So yes, it's crucial, I think, for India to have a master planning. And again, master planning is a dynamic thing. So you start in master planning and you set up the goals similar to your life, but you have some sort of goals. And then you kind of taking the ship to the right direction. As all the time you get more data and you develop it to make it better. But for your question, yes, it's crucial for India to have at least a basin level master planning. And obviously every state should have water master planning.
We have another question coming from our friend Ravi Mariwal. Does demand estimation form a part of the master plan?
Yes. Demand estimation is a crucial part of the master plan. Not only estimation, but projection. So if you talk about the domestic, so you usually differentiate between rural and urban water demand. Agricultural demand, it's a whole different analysis of getting the crop patterns, irrigation demand. For example, in Punjab, we getting into the diversification plan in order to see the change of paddy and wheat, to change it to other crops, to see the effect of this on the water sector, on the water demand sector. Industrial demand also, it's crucial. yes, the demand factor is crucial because basically master planning is the analyzing the demand and analyzing the supply side and see how you can, what are the alternatives to meet them in order to not get into a crisis.
One interesting political question. Basically in India, as you know, we have lots of disputes, interstate disputes for water, yes, because the rivers pass from one state to the other. Do you think a master plan of this magnitude at a national level can actually solve these problems by scientifically proving it to the public that this is the way water needs to be shared between states, and we have multiple litigations pending in states? Do you think this can be a solution and a logical scientific solution to this problem?
Yes, yes, and I think it's crucial, and I'll give you just a couple of examples from the top of my head. One is the amazing plan India and Pakistan are having with relation to the rivers coming from the Indus, yes, the Indus Treaty, which is still, I think it was signed in the 70s. Maybe I'm mistaken, but until today, even with all the fights and problems India have with Pakistan, the Indus Treaty is still being guarded in a very, very good way because both of the states trust this piece of paper, and Israel have a similar issues with Jordan and Gaza Strip and Lebanon, and see if we want, there's two ways to get these conflicts, either by force or by science. And I think the more you talk with different states, and the more you give an unbiased kind of calculation and you present it to the people, I think in the end of the day, people will get to use and understand. Otherwise, it will get, people will use force. So I think it will be a very, very good tool, master planning, and actually calculating and showing the calculation and exactly presenting how everything is being calculated. So, and then people can, talk on the same kind of a level rather than emotional.
Thank you, Niv. I think that was very interesting and very thought-provoking, because we have lots of challenges in India, interstate challenges, and I think a master plan would be most appropriate for this entire situation to give us a long-term vision. So thank you so much. Please take care of your health.
Thank you very much.
We will, of course, be emailing you all the balanced questions that are there, because we are running out of time. And out of respect for our next speaker, we need to conclude this talk. So thank you so much, Niv.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is also an expat working in India, and Mohamed works for Larsen Toubro. He's worked in Qatar, and now he's working in India. So he has a very interesting perspective, and we requested Mohamed to specifically speak on the wastewater situation in India. Wastewater being of critical importance. The biggest problem with wastewater is that it's not a vote getter. So generally politicians and bureaucrats tend to ignore it, but only 38% of India's wastewater is actually treated. So there is a huge problem that is going to slap us in the face very, very shortly. And I think Mohamed will take us through what is actually the situation in India and what steps are being taken to solve this problem. Mohamed, over to you.
Thank you very much. I would like to send a warm greetings to all the participants. And thank you very much. I really appreciate for being invited to this forum. Today, I would like to discuss about the wastewater reuse, this Water Impact 2021 webinar. My name is again Mohamed Salah. I'm here in Chennai working for LNT, and I'm responsible for the process, water and wastewater technology for the company. Next, please. Let me just give you a quick rundown on the flow of the presentation. I will be discussing about the India water issues, wastewater reuse, reuse norms that are applied in India, reuse technologies, and I will also conclude with the protecting the Ganga River, which is a lifeline for India. Next slide, please. I always like to start with two motivational quotes. The first one is the UN Council resolution back in 1958, which basically says that no higher quality water should be used for a purpose that can tolerate a lower grade. So this is a UN resolution. The water should be used where it belongs to. And the second quote that I prefer to always like to quote is the one from Dr. Lucas van Buren. Lucas van Buren is one of the pioneers of Windhoek water reclamation system in Namibia in Africa. That's one of the first plants, I would probably say globally, that uses reuse water for drinking purpose. And he says that water should not be judged by its history, but its quality. And I think a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about is really falls in this category. It is basically water should not be judged by its history. It should be judged by its quality. So next slide, please. You see, I'll just give a brief about India's water issues. We all know that India is about 1.3, 1.4 billion people. That's quite a big number. It consists of 17% of the world population. That's significant. But the available water for India, in terms of fresh water, is only 4%. So we have to be very smart in terms of managing that 4% of the fresh water to feed 17%. And India is a very big user of water. And I will be showing you some slides about that. India extracts groundwater more than any country in the world, 251 billion cubic meter. That's huge. Rivers are polluted and often run dry. Ganga River is one of the top 5 most polluted rivers in the world. If you see, in terms of pollution, I believe there's only one river in Indonesia. It's called Sintram River. In Indonesia, is the only one that's more polluted than Ganga River. We also have a Yamuna River. So we are in the top 5% in terms of pollution of rivers. I think we can do better than that. And I think there's a lot of effort going forward to bring that down. And projects like Clean Ganga River and so on and so forth. So it's very important to focus on cleaning those rivers. 21 major cities of India experience some sort of water stress. A good example is Chennai, where I live now. During droughts, you can see that a lot of water cuts during the day. A lot of people lining up for water. So water resources is very limited. Big cities are seeing that stress, and Chennai is one of the top on the list. Next slide, please. Building on the stress of the water in India, if you see this chart from Bloomberg, you can see India withdraws more water than any country in the world. Any country in the world, including China. If it's because of the number, because we are more than other parts of the world, US and Indonesia, Pakistan, and all that, but that's not the case. China is almost the same number of people, population as India, but we extract a lot more than that. And one of the main reasons of extraction of the water is because of the rice export of rice. India exports a significant amount of rice globally, 4.5 million tons per year. 4.5 million tons per year of basement rice only, which is very significant. So if you see the export of rice has costed us to consume 750 billion cubic meter of fresh water in 2014 and 2015. So Indian freshwater consumption is a lot more than that of China and US. And I think there's a lot of room to improve in terms of reusing the water. And I will be talking about the reuse of the water in the next few slides. Next, please. So when we discuss about reuse, first we have to discuss about the treatment. So if you see the sewage treatment and disposal in India, let's focus on the access. The houses that are connected to the sewer systems, 26% are unorganized treatment, which is basically not well connected, and only 12% are well connected. And these are major cities like Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi. In some areas are connected, some areas are not connected, and 49% are on-site sanitation, which is basically septic tanks. And open defecation is about 13%. So that's the census made in 2011. I don't think that much has changed from 2011. It takes to build infrastructure for wastewater treatment and reuse. It takes 10 years actually to build plants and operate and get consumption. So when we see 12% treated effectively, means there are a lot of plants that are built but are not operated properly. The quality of what's coming out is no use. So that's 12% is effectively treated, but 26% is not. So I think there's a lot of space to improve in here. Next slide, please. So wastewater reuse. The wastewater reuse, when we discuss about wastewater reuse, is basically from toilet to the tap. And basically it's the use of converting the wastewater that can be reused for different purposes. One of the main reuse is replenishing of surface water and groundwater. In my previous life, I did a lot of projects in the US, especially in California, where groundwater or aquifer replenishing is a big part of the water reuse. Most of the plants that are in California, they do not discharge to rivers and lakes. They discharge to aquifers that's being used for drinking. So replenishing of surface water and groundwater is a key. The other one is fulfilling the domestic needs like toilet flushing, industry applications. A lot of industries, I think I would probably say that in Indian industry have done far better than municipal in terms of recycling and reuse of the water. In most of the industries, they reuse their water. But some of them, they buy sewage water, clean, and then reuse it. I think one example here is not very far from where I live here in Chennai. It's called Coimbatore Sewage Treatment Plant, where the sewage is treated and reused for industries. The last option is direct portable reuse or indirect portable reuse. And that's also getting a momentum. That's growing very fast to inject the treated water, treated sewage water into the aquifers or the surface water, or directly to the treatment plant. And as I mentioned earlier, Namibia, which is in West Africa, was one of the first countries that has done that, and they are still doing that because they don't have any option. Next slide, please. Now, reuse versus recycling. The most preferable option is to reduce the consumption. If we cannot reduce the consumption, we want to use more water, then I think the other options we have is the recycle and reuse. Recycle is to reuse for domestic purposes, and reuse is just to provide a zero liquid discharge. And the industry, as I said earlier, in India uses reuse very significant in a very big way. If you go to any industrial plant, you will see that the water is not wasted, and that's because of economic reasons. Instead of bringing a fresh water and using fresh water every time, it's better for them to treat the wastewater which they have to treat anyway and reuse that water. So there's a good reason for the Indian industry to do that, and they are doing very well. Next slide, please. Now, what are there are 5 saliences of wastewater reuse. The first one is, number 1, there will be less dependence on the unstable rainfall. Basically, that will help people not to depend mainly on rainfall. The other one is to reduce the financial burden on the government. If you notice that in some places, the government doesn't have choice but to build desalination plants. Desalination plants are very expensive. So that will put a lot of burden on the government to build the desalination plants. The other salient features of using wastewater or reuse of wastewater rather is the potential nutrients. If you use for agriculture, for other purposes, there's already some nutrients. There's some phosphorus, there's some nitrogen that can be used. The other one is the viability of STP increase. A lot of plants, if you visit here in India, a lot of plants may not be performing very well. But if the effluent is going to be reused, there will be a lot of pressure on the industry to operate the plants very well and improve the performance. Groundwater recharge, which I mentioned earlier. Groundwater recharge is very important. That can provide a direct potable reuse option. Next slide, please. So here we've got a wastewater reuse ladder. This ladder is giving us the quality of or the treatment regimen that's need to be provided versus the reuse. If you look at the bottom of the ladder, and if you look at the top of the ladder, the higher that you go in the ladder in terms of treatment, the closer you get to a good quality potable water quality. So if you see at the bottom of the ladder, secondary treatment is just a biological process followed by secondary clarifier. That you can use only for irrigation and non-edible crops. Next in the tertiary treatment, the ladder is you can use if you have a secondary effluent followed by a disc filter or sun filter, then you can use that for urban reuse. Going up a little bit on the ladder, you'll see that the tertiary treatment with the membranes that you can use for industrial application. That's what the industry in India mostly does. And then you go up in the ladder, nutrient removal, then you can use that as indirect potable reuse. You go up in the ladder, and this is the greatest and the best, which is reverse osmosis, advanced disinfection. That's basically potable water. That's basically potable water. And the lower you go down in the ladder, the less the reuse becomes, and the less you get closer to the potable water quality. Next slide, please. So, mitigation and action is required. So there are few things that we can do in terms of taking an action. The first one is, number one, we have to make sure that the existing plants or the future plants, they have to meet the reuse standard. That's the first thing. The second thing, which is very important also, is establish a separate network for various reuse effluents. When you build a reuse plant, you have to build also the network, piping, pumps, to deliver to the place where it's needed. So building establishment a separate network is required. Compliance. We also have to fight the stigma of using a wastewater. People should not be worried about that stigma because it is a lifeline. And also we can use the law. If the government mandates recycle and reuse, there'll be no more option. People have to adapt to that, and they have to follow the rules and regulations. So these are some of the mitigation processes that we can take forward. Next slide, please. The reuse standard in India, this is based on CPHEO. Most of the Indian engineers who are working in the water sector, they are familiar with that, CPHEO. CPHEO provides a guideline. Unlike the United States, there's a Title 22, which is mainly, Title 22 is made by the state of California, Department of Health Services provided that. And that is the standard for most of the countries in the world that use that standard, Title 22 standard, which is the reuse standard. But in India, we have a CPHEO standard, which provides which wastewater can be used for which application. And you cannot read the left side of the slide. I put that on the right side of the slide. So there's a guideline for toilet flushing. There's a guideline for pipe protection. There's a guideline for vehicle washing. There's a guideline for non-contact impoundment, horticulture, non-edible crop irrigation, edible crop irrigation, so on and so forth. So these are the guidelines. What effluent quality you need to meet in order to use the treated wastewater for which application. So these guidelines are very important and can be adapted. Next slide, please. So now we've got a question for you. The first question would be, would you mind eating a produce grown with a reused wastewater? If some kind of agricultural product is grown with the reused water, would you be able to eat? It's okay with you to eat. The other one is, would you mind drinking from a water source recharged with reused water, reused wastewater? So that's also the second question. What is the irrigation? The other one is direct potable water. I'm sure if you didn't know, you will do it. But if you are aware of, if you know, would you do those two? I think these are the questions that we have for you today. I think the host is going to project that. So the first question, the second question, you can choose either yes, no, or maybe if you are not sure. So the first one will be, would you mind eating produce grown with reused wastewater? And the second one again is, would you drink water from water source charged with treated wastewater? I think this is very critical, very important questions that we think it's important for you to answer and understand. And going forward in the next few slides, once we finish this one and you answer all the questions in the two questions raised here, we'll be discussing about the technologies. We'll be discussing about some examples of wastewater reuse, which I'm sure you'll be of interest to you. So next slide, please.
I'll quickly share the results of this poll first. These are the results.
Yeah, it'd be very nice to know that. So most the first question, people said no, they will not eat. Okay, the second one is more interesting. You see, this is a little bit of a contradiction because to eat and to drink, I think to eat is a little bit safer, I would say, if you're worried about safety, because the first one, it goes through a different process. You're eating a plant, a product that has processed itself, the water, but the first one you are processing yourself. So I think the two are not in sync. The two are not in sync. So if I were you, I probably would choose the first one, yes, and the second one. I'm saying both of them are good because I'm from the water industry and I know what effort we put into treating the wastewater and making it a high quality that people can use for drinking, for irrigation, and so on and so forth. And if you have traveled in the Middle East, you'll probably see most of the greenery that you see in Dubai and Qatar is not just because of fresh water has not been used. They use a reused water. So if you're not aware of it, it will not make any difference. But if you're aware of it, maybe there's psychological barrier, and that's what we want to overcome: the psychological barrier of judging the wastewater by of judging the water by its history, not by the quality of what it is. Next slide, please. Now I will just go through the technologies that are used for reuse. One of the first technologies is a conventional activated slide process, a sequencing bioreactor, moving bed bioreactor, followed by a tertiary filtration. These are activated slide process followed by UF ultrafiltration. This is one of the technologies that are used for reuse. Another one is membrane bioreactor. Membrane bioreactor You don't need to have a tertiary treatment. You can combine the secondary and tertiary treatment together. And it provides a smaller footprint, and it's very good technology. Polishing of UF treated effluent with reverse osmosis. That's if you want to get a high-end treated water. That's what we need to do. We have to use reverse osmosis. Most of the industry in India to reuse the water, they put through a reverse osmosis system. Next slide, please. I'll just give you some examples. This is a project that L&T has done in Doha, in Qatar. This is one of the largest reuse plants in the region. And I think this is the largest in the world in terms of using UF for tertiary, that I'm aware of, both in North America and also in the Middle East. If you see, this plant is an SBR plant, sequencing bioreactor, followed by ultrafiltration UF. It's about 240 MLD. And there's also a network of treated water, which we call it TSE, treated sewage effluent. And some of them are injected into the groundwater. So this is one very good example of high-tech, high-technology, state-of-the-art application that L&T has accomplished in the Middle East. Next slide, please. Membrane bioreactor. I think we have got a couple of installations here in India. This is we call it the mother of all reuse. It has got very small footprint. Instead of using secondary treatment, secondary clarifier followed by disc filters or sun filters, that's been replaced by membrane bioreactor, which is the MBR. It provides a high technology, it provides a good quality effluent, which is very excellent for reuse. If you don't need treated wastewater for reuse, MBR is not the technology that you will look at. Next slide, please. I'm trying to beat the time. So this is an installation that in Qatar, which I've showed you earlier. This is the actual installation. You can see the size of the tertiary filtration using ultrafiltration process. This ultrafiltration process produces a high quality water. You can say turbidity is 0.2 or less, 0.2 less. We have a BOD, COD, all the effluent qualities is an excellent, is very good reuse. We have completed this project about 5 years ago, and still I'm running and very good quality, producing good water for the state of Qatar. Next slide, please. This is this is L&T campus. This is where I'm sitting right now. This is the office where we have here in L&T, Larsen Toubro. We have 2 plants within our campus. Those 2 plants, they treat the wastewater that's coming from the L&T employees. We have got about, in this campus alone, we have got about 6,000 employees. Those 6,000 employees are 6,000 to 7,000, depending on the how you count it. So we have got 2 plants. One is 400 cubic meter per day. The other one is 200 cubic meter per day. We use moving bed bioreactors with tube settlers. And then we have got an activated sun filters followed by activated carbon. And that's what we use for all the toilets. If you come to L&T campus, these buildings, you will see that the water we're using is for the toilets is from the same water that we produce. So we have got 2 wastewater treatment plants on campus. Sometimes we use them as a training or demo for engineers for our new engineers who join us here in Chennai campus. So this is a good example of it's also a corporate responsibility that L&T embarked on. In addition to that, we also have a solar panels in the campus. We have got a rainwater harvest on the campus. So L&T, we are doing quite a bit in terms of addressing the environmental requirements of India. Next slide, please. This is a project that we have done in Varanasi in UP here in India. This plant is actually was inaugurated by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister inaugurated this plant because it's his constituency, Varanasi. The government of India has initiated what's called a Clean Ganga, or what we call National River Conservation Plan, and this is part of it. So we are treating 120,000 cubic meters per day using sequencing bioreactor followed by ultrafiltration UV. This is a full BNR plant. We have commissioned successfully, and the objective of this plant was to make sure that we clean the Ganga River, because the effluent from this plant would have gone to the Ganga River and pollute it. So to prevent the pollution, we provided a state-of-the-art technology in this plant, and the quality of the water that comes out is excellent. Even though we don't have a tertiary filtration, which is for reuse, it can easily be reused. So the addition of a simple tertiary treatment will qualify the Varanasi project as a wastewater reuse. So this is a good example of protecting the water resources here in India. And I think there are also many other. We have built about 40 plants similar to using the similar technology sequencing bioreactors, and a lot more to come, especially in Mumbai, where it's mostly needed. Next slide, please. And I think that's the this is the process flow diagram. I'm just giving you a quick rundown on how the process that we provided for the Varanasi plant, and it was a privilege for us, to have the Prime Minister inaugurate this plant. Actually, before the Prime Minister inaugurated, I visited the plant myself to make sure that everything's fine, and then we had the Prime Minister to inaugurate the plant. So if you can see, we have got liquid line and we have got sludge line. The liquid line goes to a UV after going through the sequencing bioreactor. The sludge line that's produced from the sequencing bioreactor goes to a fast balancing tank, followed by gravity thickener and centrifuge, and then the sludge is hauled out for landfill. So this is just a process flow diagram for the Varanasi plant. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the Varanasi plant. You can see the decanters. You can see on the right-hand side, the quality of the water that's coming out from this plant. It uses a SCADA system that can be accessed remotely. It's a fully automated plant with all the bells and whistles that any new and modern treatment plant requires. Next. I think that's the end of my presentation. That was my last slide. Thank you very much, and I'm ready to take your questions now.
Thank you so much, Mohamed. That was very, very interesting. And what we were all looking at, I realized the impact of the work that you all have done is a real start to India. Dr. Samir Kulkarni will take you on the questions. He's the director of MUIDEAS.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Samir.
Yeah, hi, Mohamed. Thank you very much. I know it was a very interesting talk and significantly enlightening, in a way, to understand all the efforts which are going in, both from industries such as yours, as well as what government is actually trying to do as well in this particular direction. So a couple of questions which have come up, and I would also pose in my own question at the end of it, if time permits. So one of the questions that has come up is basically, do you think recharging aquifers with treated wastewater could be a solution for water crisis in India?
Yeah, I think you see in India, there's a significant amount, as I mentioned earlier, that significant amount of groundwater has been drawn out compared to any other part of the world. And the example I've given was the example of California. California, what they normally do is the sewage treatment, the treated sewage, they inject into near the aquifer. So it will take probably a year, 2, 3 years, depending on the distance from the injection point to replenish. So it is a slow motion, but I think that is a very good example of how the aquifers can be replenished. If you don't replenish the aquifers, then the aquifers will dry up, and once they dry up, there will be really no other way to do it. With the population growth and the level of sophistication and the need of the industry in India is becoming more industrialized. There will be more demand for water, not only for rice but also for the industries. So it's imperative, I believe, that having a aquifer recharge as an option is vital, I would say.
Another question that has come up is, in your experience, what has been the cost effectiveness of treated wastewater?
The cost effectiveness of the wastewater treatment?
Yeah, I mean the treated wastewater. I mean,
Yeah. You see,
typically, I mean, I have an experience in this because I was, talking to one of the industries, the fisheries industry, and their concern was that, they were able to purchase water at a price where their reused water was actually more expensive than the, straight purchase water.
Yeah. Okay. I have traveled in India extensively, and one of the things that impressed me mostly is how the industry reuses the water. And I think that's a living example. For example, most of the industries in India, they have to treat the wastewater. Once they treat the wastewater, it's no brainer that they have to reuse that water. There's no other option instead of fresh water. So it's because of the dollars and cents. Because of dollars and cents, it doesn't make sense for the industry to buy fresh water. Well, that will cost a lot more than the water that they've already treated. That they all have to do is they just have to add a little bit of reverse osmosis or maybe ultrafiltration to reuse. So from the economic standpoint, I would say that no brainer. It is already there. People are doing it, and it's cost effective. Now, the question would be in terms of municipal wastewater. Municipal wastewater. Some people may say, look, we don't want to reuse it, and in terms of because you will need an infrastructure for piping, you will need that. But the industry is already doing that. The industry, they got the infrastructure, they got everything in place. But for the municipal water, what can be done is the consultant industry. I think not only 5 miles from here. I was there the day before yesterday. I think I was there, and the plant's called Coimbatore. They're selling the water to the industry, and the industry treating and using it. So that's a living example in water-stressed cities like Chennai, where people are doing that. So I think to answer the question, I think it's vital, and it is cost-effective to do a reuse. And I think that's the only option open for us.
Another question that has come up is, any major efforts going on in terms of agricultural water reuse or treatment, because it usually is contaminated significantly with pesticides.
Okay, agriculture is lagging significantly, the agriculture, and that's where the improvement has to be done. Because if you see the slides that I presented here, because of exporting basmati rice to overseas, there have been billions and billions of cubic meter of water being used. So I think the industry is falling behind, and I think the infrastructure needs to be put in place, and there has to be some kind of a law that would require them to use that. I think that would help them a lot, because the biggest consumer of water in India is the agriculture. And India, being a flat land, which is very fertile, I think it's tempting. It's tempting. So I think that a lot of work need to be done on that front.
Are advanced oxidation, is advanced oxidation required in India for refractory pollutants? Any thoughts on that?
Actually, there's a lot of effort going into that. Some of them are confidential. I can't say it here, but there's a lot of effort going on in terms of finding a solution for treated wastewater that are laden with emerging contaminants. Emerging contaminants are contaminants that come out from the medicine that we consume. When we consume medicine, and India is the biggest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the world. When we consume all those medicine and we discharge into the wastewater, some of that will end up as a pollutant, emerging pollutant that cannot be treated with conventional system. So advanced oxidation, whether it's on ozone followed by hydrogen peroxide or titanium based UV. There are so many options for advanced oxidation. Advanced oxidation is going to be a big deal in terms of fighting those emerging contaminants. And I think the contaminants that cannot be treated, refractory contaminants that cannot be treated with the conventional processes and technologies, will have to be, you will have to use advanced oxidation processes.
Any solutions for the high TDS rejects?
High TDS reject. I think this has been a problem for the whole world. It's the easiest solution is to just send it back to the sea. But that's not the answer that the person who asked this question is looking for. I'm sure about that. TDS is a problem. One way that people are dealing with TDS is zero liquid discharge to convert it to evaporate and make it salt. So you have got the salt and instead of a brine. But that is also it's not cost effective. Right now, I can tell you the solutions available for TDS, high TDS reject coming out from the reverse osmosis plants. There's not a good answer. And I think a lot of scientists have worked on that. It's still people are looking into that, into dealing with that. And the solution is not an easy one, but I think we will get there. But the available solution right now, so far, is to evaporate and get instead of reject, you've got a solid salt that you can recycle. That's the only solution that's available right now. But there are many other things that people have tried, but they are not cost effective at all. I'm sorry that I didn't give the answer that the person was looking for.
I guess there was no real
answer,
right? This whole scenario. Well, I guess in this battery of questions, even the question which I wanted to ask is actually now covered. My question was also to do with what about the rejects? I mean, for example, I was specifically planning to ask you. So this Varanasi plant that you have, right? I mean, the Ganga cleanup plant. Now, I'm sure a lot of sludge is getting generated, during this particular cleanup exercise. So how is it, how does that really get discarded?
Okay. So the sludge that's generated from the wastewater, they are right now in India. And I just before I discuss about India, let me discuss about the plant that we did in UAE, in Dubai. It's called Jabal Ali sewage treatment plant. That's one of the largest sewage treatment plants in the region, 375,000 cubic meter per day. That's very, very large. We have completed that project 2019 in Dubai. And what we've done is the sludge generated from the plant, we have dried sludge. So we dry this sludge and we convert it to a fertilizer. And the Dubai municipality, they put in bags and they sell it to the agriculture. So from sludge to agriculture, but we have used sludge dryers, and the heat required for the sludge drying came from the biogas generated from the plant itself. So the plant has got the anaerobic digesters. We've generated biogas. The biogas generated is used for drying the sludge because we send through boilers, and the boilers produce a hot oil, and that oil we use to dry the sludge. So we produce a sludge dryness of about 92%, which is very dry. And then we put in bags, and we give it to the municipality of Dubai. So the plant we handed over about a year ago to Dubai municipality, and they're selling till today the sludge that's been produced. Now let's come to India now. So what's happening here in India is sludge usage is not there. People are not using the sludge, and this country should be in the forefront of using the sludge. The good news is that some of the projects that we are working right now, they are all designed for sludge reuse. In order to reuse the sludge, you have to meet what's called Class A sludge. Class A sludge is the sludge quality that is void of pathogens, healthy, does not impact the health of the people. So that's called Class A sludge. So one of the plants that we are doing actually in Chandigarh, where my colleague Niv is sitting. That plant is going to produce a class A sludge that can be used for as a fertilizer, which is safe to handle. Mumbai, which is there are a lot of projects from NCGM that's coming up. Most of those projects, they are also mandated class A sludge, which means the sludge has to be reused. And I think soon the Indian agriculture industry have to accept the fact that there's no other option but to use the sludge, which has got a very high quality and it's called a class A sludge.
Another question that has come up is, can wastewater be seen as a source of phosphorus for recovery? Sorry?
Yeah, phosphorus recovery.
Yeah, or sulfur.
Yeah, okay. The only way to do that is it's not from the liquid line. So you see the wastewater treatment plant, we have got the liquid line, we have got a sludge line. The sludge line, there's something called a struvite. So if you recover the struvite, that can be a phosphorus recovery from the sludge line. You see there is the sludge line, especially when we're using anaerobic sludge digestion, we always struggle of containing the struvite, which is the phosphorus. So that phosphorus can be recovered and can be used as a source of phosphorus. The other thing also is, if you see the agriculture, the Jabal Ali plant that I've mentioned earlier in Dubai, where we are using the dry sludge as a fertilizer, it has got an excellent NPK. NPK is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's what the fertilizers are graded for. So using having such high NPK, it's imperative for the industry to use, for the especially agriculture, to use that high quality sludge for as a fertilizer. And again, like I said, phosphorus is part of that. So NPK is very high, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium.
One question I have is, how broadly are all these technologies, covered by patents?
As a package?
I mean, patents. Patents. So, I mean, most of these technologies, right? I mean, the ones which are used for wastewater treatment, how are they covered by the patents? I mean, the intellectual properties for this particular thing.
Oh, on intellectual properties. Okay.
Are they can
actually,
people use them?
I just want to share. I just want to say that L&T, we have patented recently a new technology. It's called The name is SBBR. The old name is SBBR, which is an SBR with a fixed film. So now we call it is attached growth, AGBR, attached growth bioreactor. What we have done is we have teamed up with the Anna University, and we have done that. That took about one PhD student, L&T's effort to come up with that technology, and we patented. The patent is protected. Now, other technologies that I've mentioned, MBR, these are patents most of them they are expired, and those technologies are established technologies. People can use them. It's not specific for any company. There are a lot of giants who produce those technologies. You can either buy from them directly. Our scope as an L&T is we design and build the whole plant. So we use those different technologies. We design ourselves and we build them, we put them together. So we are not a hostage to a technology provider. We are not a captive audience. We do ourselves and we provide the technology to the end user. So some of them are patented, but the patents have long gone.
Well, great. I think this was a very interesting discussion. In a way, actually making, combining the need, the technology, and the possibilities for future. So thank you very much, Mohammad. It was really interesting. And I'll hand it back over to ROMIEL now. ROMIEL,
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Samir.
Thank you,
ROMIEL,
Mohammed. Thank you so much, Samir. Thank you, Mohammed. It was really interesting, and this is what we actually wanted. We wanted different experts like Niv to give about master planning and you to give about this wastewater. I think we're a long, long way off from achieving a credible wastewater retreatment system in the country. But it is a need of the hour, and we need to pay serious attention to it. So thank you so much to both speakers and to all the audience for being here. On Thursday, we have an expert from Israel, Levi Frankel, who will be talking about non-revenue water. And we will be having Dr. Samir Kulkarni, who will be talking about agricultural water. Sorry, Dr. Suresh Kulkarni. I'm sorry, Samir Kulkarni. So, no, I mean, I think he must have said, what am I? Anyway, Dr. Suresh Kulkarni, who will be talking about agricultural water, which consumes 80% of our water. So these two aspects of water, which are going to be dealt on Thursday, are very critical to change the entire paradigm of water in this country, where the basic water is being wasted as 80% is agricultural water, and NRW water, like in Mumbai city, is more than 30% of the water. And we expect that all over India, over most municipalities, it's between 30 and 50%. So please join us on Thursday, and we look forward to interacting with all of you all. And thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.